Today's reading begins in Judges, chapter 2, starting in verse 10. After all that generation were gathered to their fathers, another generation arose after them, who didn't know the Lord, nor the work which he had done for Israel. The children of Israel did that which was evil in the Lord's sight, and served the Baals. They abandoned the Lord, the God of their fathers, who brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods, of the gods of the peoples who were around them, and bowed themselves down to them, and they provoked the Lord to anger. They abandoned the Lord, and served Baal and the Ashtaroth. The Lord's anger burned against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of raiders, who plundered them. He sold them into the hands of their enemies all around, so that they could no longer stand before their enemies. Wherever they went out, the Lord's hand was against them for evil, as the Lord had spoken, and as the Lord had sworn to them, and they were very distressed. The Lord raised up judges, who saved them out of the hand of those who plundered them. Yet they didn't listen to their judges, for they prostituted themselves to other gods, and bowed themselves down to them. They quickly turned away from the way in which their fathers walked, obeying the Lord's commandments. They didn't do so. When the Lord raised up judges for them, then the Lord was with the judge, and saved them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it grieved the Lord because of their groaning, by reason of those who oppressed them and troubled them. But when the judge was dead, they turned back, and dealt more corruptly than their fathers in following other gods to serve them and to bow down to them. They didn't cease what they were doing, or give up their stubborn ways. The Lord's anger burned against Israel, and he said, Because this nation transgressed my covenant which I commanded their fathers, and has not listened to my voice, I also will no longer drive out any of the nations that Joshua left when he died from before them, that by them I may test Israel, to see if they will keep the Lord's way to walk therein, as their fathers kept it, or not. So the Lord left those nations, without driving them out hastily. He didn't deliver them into Joshua's hand. Now these are the nations which the Lord left, to test Israel by them, even as many as had not known all the wars of Canaan, only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at least those who knew nothing of it before. The 5 lords of the Philistines, all the Canaanites, the Sidonians, and the Hivites who lived on Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal-Hermon to the entrance of Hamath. They were left to test Israel by them, to know whether they would listen to the Lord's commandments, which he commanded their fathers by Moses. The children of Israel lived amongst the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. They took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their own daughters to their sons, and served their gods. The children of Israel did that which was evil in the Lord's sight, and forgot the Lord their God, and served the Baals and the Asheroth. Therefore the Lord's anger burned against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, and the children of Israel served Cushan-Rishathaim 8 years. When the children of Israel cried to the Lord raised up a Savior to the children of Israel, who saved them, even Othniel the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. The Lord's Spirit came on him, and he judged Israel, and he went out to war, and the Lord delivered Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand. His hand prevailed against Cushan-Rishathaim. The land had rest 40 years. Then Othniel the son of Kenaz died. The children of Israel again did that which was evil in the Lord's sight, and the Lord strengthened Eglon the king of Moab against Israel, because they had done that which was evil in the Lord's sight. He gathered the children of Ammon and Amalek to himself, and he went and struck Israel, and they possessed the city of palm trees. The children of Israel served Eglon the king of Moab 18 years. But when the children of Israel cried to the Lord raised up a Savior for them, Ehud the son of Gera, the Benjaminite, a left-handed man. The children of Israel sent tribute by him to Eglon the king of Moab. Ehud made himself a sword, which had 2 edges, a cubit in length, and he wore it under his clothing on his right thigh. He offered the tribute to Eglon king of Moab. Now Eglon was a very fat man. When Ehud had finished offering the tribute, he sent away the people who carried the tribute. But he himself turned back from the stone idols that were by Gilgal, and said, I have a secret message for you, O king." The king said, "Keep silence." All who stood by him left him. Ehud came to him, and he was sitting by himself alone in the cool upper room. Ehud said, "I have a message from God to you." He arose out of his seat. Ehud put out his left hand and took the sword from his right thigh and thrust it into his body. The handle also went in after the blade, and the fat closed on the blade, for he didn't draw the sword out of his body, and it came out behind. Then Ehud went out onto the porch and shut the doors of the upper room on him and locked them. After he had gone, his servants came and saw that the doors of the upper room were locked. They said, "Surely he is covering his feet in the upper room." They waited until they were ashamed, and behold, he didn't open the doors of the upper room. Therefore they took the key and opened them, and behold, their lord had fallen down dead on the floor. Ehud escaped while they waited, passed beyond the stone idols, and escaped to Seirah. When he had come, he blew a trumpet in the hill country of Ephraim, and the children of Israel went down with him from the hill country, and he led them. He said to them, "Follow me, for the Lord has delivered your enemies the Moabites into your hand." They followed him, and took the fords of the Jordan against the Moabites, and didn't allow any man to pass over. They struck at that time about 10,000 men of Moab, every strong man and every man of valor. No man escaped. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel. Then the land had rest 80 years. After him was Shamgar the son of Anath, who struck 600 men of the Philistines with an ox goad. He also saved Israel. The Gospel of Luke, chapter 22, starting in verse 14. When the hour had come, he, that is Jesus, sat down with the 12 apostles. He said to them, "I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I will no longer by any means eat of it until it is fulfilled in God's kingdom." He received a cup, and when he had given thanks, he said, "Take this and share it amongst yourselves. For I tell you, I will not drink at all again from the fruit of the vine until God's kingdom comes." He took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in memory of me." Likewise he took the cup after supper, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you. But behold, the hand of him who betrays me is with me on the table. The Son of Man indeed goes as it has been determined, but woe to that man through whom he is betrayed." They began to question amongst themselves which of them it was who would do this thing. A dispute also arose amongst them, which of them was considered to be greatest. He said to them, "The kings of the nations lord it over them, and those who have authority over them are called benefactors. But not so with you. Rather, the one who is greater amongst you, let him become as the younger, and one who is governing as one who serves. For who is greater, one who sits at the table or one who serves? Isn't it he who sits at the table? But I am amongst you as one who serves. But you are those who have continued with me in my trials. I confer on you a kingdom, even as my Father conferred on me, so that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom. You will sit on thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel." The Lord said, "Simon, Simon, behold, Satan asked to have all of you, that he might sift you as wheat. But I prayed for you, that your faith wouldn't fail. You, when once you have turned again, establish your brothers." He said to him, "Lord, I am ready to go with you, both to prison and to death." He said, "I tell you, Peter, the rooster will by no means crow today, until you deny that you know me 3 times. Psalm 92, beginning in verse 1. It is a good thing to give thanks to the Lord, to sing praises to your name, Most High, to proclaim your loving kindness in the morning, and your faithfulness every night, with the 10-stringed lute, with the harp, and with the melody of the lyre. For you, Lord, have made me glad through your work. I will triumph in the works of your hands. How great are your works, Lord! Your thoughts are very deep. A senseless man doesn't know, neither does a fool understand this. Though the wicked spring up as the grass, and all the evildoers flourish, they will be destroyed forever. But you, Lord, are on high forevermore. For behold, your enemies, Lord, for behold, your enemies shall perish. All the evildoers will be scattered. But you have exalted my horn like that of the wild ox. I am anointed with fresh oil. My eye has also seen my enemies. My ears have heard of the wicked enemies who rise up against me. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. He will grow like a cedar in Lebanon. They are planted in the Lord's house. They will flourish in our God's courts. They will still produce fruit in old age. They will be full of sap and green, to show that the Lord is upright. He is my rock, and there is no unrighteousness in him. The Lord reigns. He is clothed with majesty. The Lord is armed with strength. The world also is established. It can't be moved. Your throne is established from long ago. You are from everlasting. The floods have lifted up, Lord. The floods have lifted up their voice. The floods lift up their waves. Above the voices of many waters, the mighty breakers of the sea, the Lord on high is mighty. Your statutes stand firm. Holiness adorns your house, Lord, forevermore. Proverbs chapter 14, starting in verse 1. Every wise woman builds her house, but the foolish one tears it down with her own hands. He who walks in his uprightness fears the Lord, but he who is perverse in his ways despises him.